Hello and good afternoon, this is Mto63 here back with another bite-sized build. I'm not sure exactly if I saw this somewhere or if I kind of just assembled a couple things together, but I thought it was an interesting build I had to show off. I know some of it has definitely come from Direwolf's Forgecraft series here. This is kind of a blend of magic and technology in order to automatically generate liquid XP. I'll show you how it works. Again, as with my other bite-sized builds that I've done, I'm going to go ahead and give you an example, show you how it works, and then we'll go ahead and put it together. What we have right now is a dropper on top with a half stack of pulverized copper. And right now I have the whole system turned off. But the long and the short of it is we're dropping pulverized copper into a Thaumcraft Infernal Furnace. When the Infernal Furnace cooks it, it generates an XP orb and a copper ingot. That gets pulled in the vacuum hopper, and we grind the exact same ingot back up again in the pulverizer. Obviously, if you're in a survival mode, you're not going to have a creative energy cell, but all you really have to do is provide power to the system, and it works. Well, it may generate a little bit of flux. So I'm going to turn this off, the lever off, enabling the dropper, and now we are dropping the copper in. That is getting cooked up, and I just have a weird shaped tank here. I'll explain why that is in a minute. But the furnace is kicking it out, and if you're not familiar with the Infernal Furnace, Thaumcraft is kind of a unique mod in that you can't just jump to anything you want with the right materials. You have to research and go through other various hoops to get the various technologies accomplished. So assuming you do have the Thaumcraft feature, which I'm not going to go into in this video, this is simply ejecting the items out the front, and this vacuum hopper is sucking in loose items that are around it. We have a connector up top for items, we have a connector down bottom for liquid XP, and that's all going into the tank. Now, as you can see here, all four of these bottom tanks here are all in the 15900s. So with a couple more XP orbs thrown out here, this top tank is going to fill up. And when it does, and you can hear this timer going up here, when this top one fills up, the comparator will notice it, and when the comparator says, oh, there's something in this tank, it'll actually shut the timer off. So we're not going to infinitely run this and totally overwhelm the server with loose entities floating around, because we won't backlog the system or anything. If you don't do that, you can end up with XP kind of floating around on the floor. Server admins will not be happy for you with that. If you're playing on single player and you don't need the safety check, go nuts. Again, if you're also on single player, you can probably bump this timer way up and add a good deal more copper into the system. But really the performance issue is the furnace. I do not have this upgraded with the Ignis, the worded jar full of Ignis, but I'm sure you could do that as well. So this almost just peaked over. I saw it flip for a second here. Alright, we have actually peaked over. We have actually hit the threshold where this top tank now has just the smallest little bit of XP in it. It's not even a tenth of a bucket here. But the comparator has now noticed there is liquid in this top tank. So this wire actually looks like it's a visual glitch. It's not lit up, but it actually is sending a redstone signal. And this timer has turned off because it has gotten a redstone signal. So that will kind of cut off the loop. The pulverizer will finish the work it has. The item dropper will just backlog and wait for the furnace and the pulverizer to feed it back. So that's what we have. That's what we've built. I'm going to go ahead and show you how I built it. Again, part of this does take Thaumcraft research. So if you haven't gotten into that mod at all and haven't figured out that research, you definitely want to do that first. But what we can do is assemble your standard infernal furnace like shown. And this is all in the Thumbonomicon. And that is a furnace. It does use up a wee bit of V on your wand. Now, in survival, I'm used to putting the item grate from Thumbcraft on top of this to kind of protect myself so I'm not falling in. Out of force of habit, I did that here, and it actually caused problems. I'll show you why in a minute, but for now, I don't recommend the item grate unless you have a workaround. We are going to set that there, and not there. Let's get some of this. And as you can probably guess, a lot of the moving the items around is all about the Ender.io item conduits that I was using over there. If you have some other type of conduit method you'd prefer to use, I'm sure that would work just fine. This actually might be a little simpler. On the vacuum hopper, this interface, if you don't know what's going on, it looks a little weird, but this is kind of giving you a reference of what you were just looking at from the angle you were looking at it from. And so I'm going to go into the items tab. I'm going to say I want to have the option to eject items up. Now that has shown up top. I'm going to drop one little item conduit in the middle there, and that is now connected. If you get a conduit that's half connected, then you didn't do the vacuum hopper export correctly. I'm going to go ahead with my Ender.io Yeta wrench and say I'm going to insert into the bottom of the pulverizer, and I need to go up just a hair to get this. And we're going to extract off of the vacuum hopper, and I'm going to always do that no matter what the redstone signal status. So that is good there. We can pretty much do any shaped tank. That's the advantage of the open blocks tanks, is you can go really, really strange with the shapes on that. And on the XP output, the second tab here, I'm right clicking to pan it around a little bit, and a left click there will say output the XP to the bottom. So we have that. Now we put a dropper on top. We do another item conduit, and we say extract again, always active. I don't care about redstone signal, and this is going to be an insert. Throw a timer on there. Comparator is totally optional, but highly recommended, especially on servers. And now, pulverizer, I'm going to go into the configuration tab. I'm using the sides of this machine a little differently than expected. For thermal expansion, you can shift middle click to clear all these, and then I want the input to be connected to the bottom. So as long as this color frame matches the bottom here, you're good. And then I want it outputting everything to the right. So I just keep on tapping that till I get orange. So now orange is outputting to the right, which is the item conduit. And with that, half a stack of copper should get ground up, and that will go in there, and the timer will pulse it in. And the Infernal Furnace is not known for being the quickest furnace in the world, but we have some XP. Now the way the open blocks tanks work, it kind of balances everything out. So when you see 5 millibuckets, you actually, in this case, we need to multiply that by 4. So that was 20 millibuckets. For, I think it's like every other operation. It's random. It's not every single operation, but roughly every other operation you get some XP spitting out. So this is not the quickest machine in the world, but for just power and no other resources, I'll take it. So that is pretty much it. I'll go ahead and steal some bellows, throw that there and there. And that's about it. At this point, I'd recommend, you know, junk loading it and walking away doing something else. For some reason, it is kicking out. It's kicking out the copper dust. I saw a couple of those go by. Let's see. Yeah. I don't like that. I had that a little bit over here, and I thought it was just the item grade. As I was sharing before, if you do put the item grade up top, right directly below the item dropper, that seemed to have caused issues, but it's also very possible that I'm just spitting too many ingots in all at once. Before I put the bellows in, I think the bellows changes the capabilities of the Infernal Furnace a good deal. So it is getting dust. I mean, it's getting plenty of ingots to work with here. So, maybe not a perfect system, but still, we are absolutely gaining XP here for simply the cost of power. Now, once you have this XP and you have this set up, the biggest advantage I see to it is that you now can use the Bibliocraft typesetting tables and other things that require XP. For example, am I going to be able to get a random enchantment? No. Alright, be right back. Alright, we're back. A little bit of time has passed. I have set myself to survival mode. I've cheated in an anvil, an auto disenchanter, and a handful of other items here. What I'm going to do is run over here, and over time obviously we get XP here. With the liquid XP inside the open blocks tank, if you right click, watch my levels. I'm at level 26, now I'm at 27. So literally one level per right click. And now it becomes really easy to enchant something. So I'm going to go ahead, let's throw a golden pickaxe in here and actually set up, an enchantment table rather than an anvil. Hold on. Alright, don't mind that derp. I am now back, and I have an enchantment table and Botania mana pylons. Botania is another magic mod I haven't touched yet, but 2 of these count as the full complement of bookshelves. So I'm going to stick the golden pickaxe in here, and I'm going to say, alright, go ahead and enchant, and we get efficiency 4. Alright, well that's a useful book to have. We're going to go ahead, I'm going to use an MFR auto disenchanter. Again, it takes a little bit of power. We're going to go ahead, throw the pickaxe in here. It's going to process, and it's going to take a little bit of time, and it's going to take this efficiency enchantment and put it onto the book and then damage the pickaxe. That's fine. Once we have that book, and I'll give this a minute here, the next couple steps for enchanting and cloning involve the typesetting table and the printing press. I'm sure there's other ways to do this, but this is my preferred way. I'm going to go ahead and stick that, what's that called? Print press chase. Stick that, I'm going to shift, right click, just right click, normal right click to that back side. And we now have an efficiency book and a damaged pickaxe. I'm going to go ahead, and I need a couple more levels here. Let's see if we've got enough. Alright, 40 levels. Most of the good books will take 40 levels to copy. There is an option for being able to see. But I'm going to go ahead and... oh, what am I doing wrong here? There we go. Normal right click. I was trying to shift right click. I'm not sure why. So with Bibliocraft glasses, you know what? Let me go ahead and get those. There used to be a monocle, and now I think it's just glasses because monocles are too dorky or something. But reading glasses are just fine. I'm going to change over to reading glasses, and now when you hover over to this, it's really, really small. But right there in the middle of the table says requires 31 levels. Now I'm going to actually shift and right click, and it's taken the enchanted book and the printing chase and made it into an enchanted plate. So this printing press is another machine that's got a weird interface. It doesn't really have something you can actually click on. You have to take your enchanted plate and kind of slap it in the interior there of that press. And then we take ink, and right here, this is the kind of the sweet spot for getting the ink in there. And now you can actually see it has 64 ink. And we give it a couple books. And what this will do is make 3 copies of that Efficiency 4 book. So we go from having 1 to having 4. Obviously we burned a lot of levels doing it, but now I have my original Efficiency 4 book back, and it's going to give me 2 more. So from here, once you have, you know, more than 1 copy of the book, in theory you could probably just save 1 book and use the other one, and put it on, you know, any pick you want. And now you've got your enchantment back, and you've got 2 additional copies of your efficiency book. So there you have it. Nearly free XP for the cost of some RF. I bet you probably could use other machines other than the pulverizer if you wanted to use a sag mill or you wanted to use a macerator. I bet you those would probably work. And with that, that kind of takes care of what I usually do for my enchanting needs in terms of getting XP, in terms of being able to clone the books, etc. So, hope you enjoyed. Hope it was worth watching. Take care. Have a good day.